I know things can sometimes seem hopeless and it seems like we live in this crazy dystopian reality and there's nothing we can do about it and everyone's at each other's throats and everyone's angry and all that stuff. But there are a couple threads on Twitter that they gave me a little bit of hope. I'm not going to lie. They gave me hope that there are still people out there that are waking up to what's going on. And to be honest, I always thought that Joe Biden in office could be a giant red pill if people allowed it to be. And it looks like we do have some people that are waking up to the realities of what's going on. I'm going to read you a couple Twitter threads that have popped up in the last couple of days. This one from NYC Angry Mom. Both my husband and I were probably as left-leaning as they come. I just walked into a room and he was watching Ted Cruz's speech from today, both of us agreeing with every word. I really hope the Democrats grasp that they are now the party of lockdowns and forever pandemic. I really don't think I can describe how bad the last week has been. Both the CDC and POTUS have shifted the goalposts once again, making it at least another year before we can really have our lives back, as well as our children's. It's not the virus doing this. I can't believe we are approaching 18 months, and they think that we should continue to sacrifice months and years of ours and our children's lives for a virus that has 3 effective vaccines. We never promised zero illness. A small child living in a blue area now has no memory of what life was like before the pandemic, freely hugging friends, breathing freely, and socializing without worrying about viral spread. Yet kids in red areas have normalcy. Mark my words, teachers' unions are salivating right now, and they can't wait to negotiate more concessions so that they can ensure our children have a third interrupted, miserable year. How much more should we be expected to take? I want to be clear. My values haven't changed. But I am now coping with Maslow's hierarchy, basic freedom to exist without aspects of life revolving around a virus. The constant threat of restriction comes from literally anything else that the Dems have to offer. And of course she's right. Listen, Randy Weingarten just tweeted yesterday, our number one priority remains a safe in-person school year in schools that can stay open. Given the new evidence, that means requiring everyone in school buildings to wear masks. And of course, we know from this article back in May, the teachers' unions are partially responsible for the GD masks in the first place. This was in the New York Post. Powerful teachers' union influenced CDC on school reopenings email fines. The American Federation of Teachers lobbied the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on and even suggested language for the federal agency's school reopening guidance issued in February. The powerful teachers' unions' full court press preceded the federal agency putting the brakes on a full reopening of in-person classrooms. Emails between the CDC, ATF, and White House officials show the emails were obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request by the conservative watchdog group Americans for Public Trust and provided to the Post. The documents show a flurry of activity between CDC director, her top advisors, and union bosses, with Biden brass being looped in at the White House in the days before the highly anticipated February 12th announcement. This was back several months ago, but I think we can probably assume that the collusion hasn't stopped. We were able to review a copy of the draft guidance document over the weekend, and were able to provide some initial feedback to several staff this morning about possible ways to strengthen the document. This from Kelly, who is the ATF's Senior Director for Health Issues. But that's not the only thread I want to read to you. I want to read to you this thread from Jennifer. Up until February 20, if asked about my politics, I would have said left of center. But as I've watched progressive leaders destroy public education, deny kids access to public life, ruin small businesses, demonize a segment of the population to divide us, and degrade the public discourse, I don't know where I fit anymore. I didn't leave the party. It left me. I upended my entire life, 30 years in San Francisco, so my kids could go to school and experience a normal childhood existence. In Colorado, they attend school, play freely, participate in sports, hug friends and even teachers. They're young. They're not required to think of themselves as filthy vectors of disease. They participate in public life, go to the playground unmasked, and are relatively carefree, the way 4- and 6-year-olds should be. Adults protect them, their childhood, not the other way around. In San Francisco, every year of school is threatened, third year school. Poor kids suffer the most. Inequality deepens. Children are stigmatized. My heart still resides in the city that I fell in love with in 1992, but the spirit of inclusion, fearlessness, and acceptance of difference from the norm is gone. Any deviation from the orthodoxy, the mainstream narrative, is demonized. You are canceled. It is not fun to speak up and stand out. I don't come by it naturally. I like to be liked, but I like my kids more. Kids need to be supported, not demonized. Misopedia is rampant. I will give up my standing. I will accept being called strange and dangerous and stupid. I refuse to stand by and be silent while yet another year is stolen from kids. Those who have the most to lose. I'd ask you to join me. There are many silent people out there who find this encroachment on basic liberty, on our kids' lives, unacceptable. Also, people who are more afraid of the impact of continued restrictions on kids and ourselves than they are of COVID. We need you to stand with us publicly, vocally. The water is not the warmth, the cold in here. Excuse me, I'm going to read that again. The water is not that warmth. It's cold in here. It gets warmer with numbers, and you get used to it. You get used to saying no, to asking why, to saying no, not my kid, not our kids. There is more to life than fear. All areas of our lives cannot revolve around disease avoidance. I want joy and connection, friends and art and celebrations, not the constant threat of never-ending restrictions. A political party that constantly terrorizes the populace and encourages disavowal of others, I can't sign up. So I'm a woman without a party, but that's okay. I got y'all, former lefties, current homeless, growing in numbers, not going away. We got this. You know, when I left the left, I had a place to go. I had the walkaway movement. I had the walkaway Facebook group before it got unilaterally banned on Facebook for not violating any of their terms of service. I had a place to go. I don't know where people go today. And that's honestly a question I have. Where do the politically homeless go? Because this is a place where this is a community that needs to find each other. When the walkaway movement was alive, well, the walkaway movement is still alive, but when the Facebook group was alive, there was a place where you could go to connect with people who were like you, to look at videos of people who were like you, to have someone to talk to so you didn't feel crazy. The thing that I'm most worried about now is not that people aren't waking up, because we're seeing these stories that they're waking up and they're starting to figure out who the real enemy is. The real enemy is the media. The real enemy is the teachers' unions. The real enemy are authoritarians on both sides who just want to keep the country locked down to bolster their own power. That's who the real enemy is. It's not about Democrat versus Republican. It's not about left versus right. It's not about conservative versus liberal, because there are authoritarians on both sides of the spectrum. I just don't know where people go now, because it's not going to be the Republicans. It's not going to be, the MAGA movement is pretty much non-existent at this point, so far as I can tell. Perhaps I'm wrong. Where do they go? Where do we send people who are waking up? Walkaway can't come back soon enough. I know that they're going to come back when Brandon is done dealing with his stuff, but they really can't come back soon enough, because right now there is a giant void. And there's not really anyone filling it. But you know what? Listen, in the meantime, one of the places that I would welcome people to is into my locals. Listen, I do actually have a bunch of politically homeless people in my locals. There are other communities on locals too. My community might not be your jam, but other people are on there as well. Locals is really fast growing. It's becoming the only sane place on the internet. So I don't know, man. If you want to connect with other just sane people, not all left or right or any of those things, you're welcome to come to my locals, kb.locals.com. It is free to join if you just want to log in and check it out and watch some ad-free videos. That's totally cool. The information is in the description below, but you can also join as a monthly supporter, $5 a month. That gets you access to all of our Zoom calls that we do together and our debate club, which I'm going to be doing in about an hour at 2 o'clock today on Saturday. We're going to be doing book clubs. We do Stitch and Bitches. We do all this stuff together. We just launched a Discord. I have no idea how that works yet, but they promise they're going to teach me. But you can get all of that for $5 a month, or for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free if you want to go that route. But what I'm trying to do in locals is create a community of authentic human engagement where people can be themselves, talk about what they want to talk about their concerns, find like-minded people like them. So if that sounds like a place you want to join, Well, we're waiting for other communities to develop. So be it. We'll welcome you. That's all I've got for right now. I'll see you soon.